The god of war, Prince Lian, has found a new love in Chu Yueli, and has mercilessly imprisoned his former flame, Tuoba Feiyuan. He sends a guard to present his personal weapon, a red-tasseled spear, to Chu Yueli, and uses the opportunity to send a message to his rival in love, the fourth brother. He sarcastically remarks that he must be too ugly to win the beauty's favor. This maneuver stirs his own jealousy, causing him to crush the cup in his hand on the spot. At that moment, the third prince from an enemy state arrives to issue a challenge. Prince Lian's mother, royal consort Rui, immediately seizes the opportunity. She requests that the emperor decree a marriage between the third prince and Chu Yueli if he wins. Her true aim is to gain control of the 100,000-strong Chu family army through this union. To thwart this conspiracy and to prevent the woman he loves from falling into another's hands, Prince Lian steps into the arena himself to face the third prince. A battle for love, military power, and the fate of the nation has just begun. To help her distracted brother, Lu Fengjin, win the martial arts competition, Ollie comes up with a plan. She knows that she is his greatest weakness. So she decides to take a risk and deliberately approach the mysterious Prince Mo to provoke her brother. On the pretext of thanking him for the gift of a spear, she walks toward Prince Mo with a cup of wine, ready to put on a show. However, the shrewd Prince Mo sees right through her intentions. He warns Ollie that using him comes at a price. With that, Prince Mo plays along, suddenly reaching out and pulling her to the ground, staging an accidental and intimate-looking scene. This act instantly ignites Lu Fengjin's rage, and draws gasps and murmurs from the noble ladies present. His mind in turmoil, Lu Fengjin is soundly defeated in the subsequent competition. Only then does Ollie realize that Prince Mo was willing to ruin his own reputation to help her, and she is deeply moved. Just then, the victorious third prince of Dong'o arrogantly challenges the entire arena. Ollie takes a deep breath, her eyes filled with determination, and steps forward, ready to fight in her brother's place. Faced with the third prince of Dongzhou's dismissive attitude of not fighting with women, Ollie remains composed and cleverly shifts the contest from a battle of brute force to a test of exquisite skill and precision. She sets the rule: one must pierce through 8 of 10 layers of silk gauze with a spear, without damaging the 9th layer. This seemingly impossible task piques the third prince's competitive spirit, and he confidently accepts the challenge. Under the worried gazes of the crowd, the third prince makes his move first. His spear thrust is as swift as a dragon, but he fails by a narrow margin, piercing 9 layers. Despite his failure, his incredible skill amazes the onlookers, highlighting the extreme difficulty of the challenge. Everyone believes Ollie is now doomed to lose. However, when it is Ollie's turn, she remains calm and collected. Her spear thrust appears gentle yet is incredibly precise. When the eunuch inspects the gauze, it is, indeed, exactly 8 layers, no more, no less. This masterful control of power leaves the entire court in an uproar. The third prince is utterly stunned and defeated. Ollie has won this contest perfectly with her wisdom and skill, defending the honor of Dongling. Ollie's unexpected victory in the martial arts competition stuns everyone present. She seizes this opportunity to make a request to the emperor. She asks for permission for her brother to lead the Chu family army to the border to support their grandfather, who is currently defending against foreign enemies. However, this patriotic request is cleverly obstructed by the empress. Using the excuse that her brother is not yet married, she suggests that he should start a family before departing. Her real motive is to keep this important military force in the capital, preventing it from leaving her control. At this delicate moment of political maneuvering, the defeated third prince, upon learning that Ollie is unmarried, proposes to her on the spot, making the situation even more complicated. This sudden proposal is not just a personal pursuit of Ollie, but possibly a test for a political alliance. And sitting aside, the masked prince, Liu Beima, who has been silently watching Ollie, crushes the cup in his hand the moment he hears the proposal. This silent action betrays his extreme anger and jealousy, foreshadowing a more intense emotional and political storm to come. The sixth prince, Lu Fenglian, is furious that his beloved Chu Yueli is being overly friendly with other princes. His royal mother, Rui Fei, however, points out with sharp insight that this is all a carefully orchestrated plot by Chu Yueli. Her goal is to get revenge and force him to leave his new favorite, Tuoba Feiyuan, so that he will come crawling back to her. Enraged, Lu Fenglian is about to confront Chu Yueli when he receives news that Tuoba Feiyuan has left him a letter and run away. He gallops to the city gate, only to overhear a conversation between the Tuoba sisters. It turns out they had approached him with the intention of using his power to seek revenge on their family's enemies, Chu Yueli and her brother. However, in the process of this revenge scheme, Tuoba Feiyuan, who is meant to be just a pawn, has genuinely fallen in love with Lu Fenglian. Hearing all this, Lu Finglian, instead of being angry, rushes forward and declares his love for Tuoba Feiyuan. He admits his mistakes and tearfully swears that for the rest of his life, he wants only her. In a passionate embrace, a relationship that began with a conspiracy seems to have finally found its way to true love. Late at night, a guard reports to Ali that the third prince of Dong-O has been beaten up, but is claiming to the public that he accidentally fell. This piques Ali's suspicion. Later, in her own courtyard, she discovers a mysterious man in a mask, gravely injured, the very prince she was thinking of. The man uses his injuries as an excuse, playfully asking Ali to take him in and treat his wounds. As she tends to his injuries, she confirms that he was the one who hurt the third prince. The man readily admits it, stating that he did it because the third prince had his eyes on Ali. He further reveals that his 5-year confinement in the northern frontier was not entirely due to Ali's scheme, but was also a necessary measure to quell the chaos and protect the people. Just as Ali feels a pang of guilt for her past actions, the man suddenly becomes emotional. He grabs her hand and asks her, with a mix of passion and pain, if she still remembers her childhood promise to marry him. This long-buried promise leaves Ali in a state of shock and complex emotions. The masked prince, after being injured, shamelessly refuses to leave Yueli's private chambers, insisting that she had promised to marry him when they were children. Yueli has no memory of this and dismisses it as nonsense. However, that night, she has a vivid dream, in which she recalls kissing a young boy and making that very promise. Waking up in shock, Yueli is mortified at being brainwashed. Just then, her handmaiden, Zissou, reports that her rival, Tuoba Feiyuan, has been acting strangely out of love, staying at the city gate all night until Prince Jin coaxed her back. Yueli's sharp instincts tell her something is amiss. She believes someone is manipulating Tuoba Feiyuan from behind the scenes, and immediately sends someone to investigate. Soon after, she receives an invitation for a hunt from the 8th princess of Dong-O. At the hunting grounds, she finds Tuoba Feiyuan, who has clearly followed Prince Jin there. A grand drama involving an old promise, a current rival, and a potential conspiracy has just begun. On a path in the woods, a richly dressed woman stops Chu Yueli out of jealousy, verbally abusing her and accusing her of seducing men with her beauty, and by playing hard to get. In a fit of rage, she even draws a dagger, intending to disfigure Chu Yueli's face. However, she never expected that the seemingly delicate Chu Yueli is a hidden master of martial arts. Chu Yueli not only easily deflects the attack, but also injures the woman's hand in the process. Having failed in her physical attack, the woman resorts to a more vicious psychological assault. She triumphantly reveals a shocking secret. She had once tried to assassinate a man named Chu Xiaohe, and when she was on the verge of defeat, it was none other than Chu Yueli's beloved agent Lu Fengjin who stepped in to help her trap Chu Xiaohe, allowing her to gravely injure him. She even gleefully describes the look of despair in Chu Xiaohe's eyes at that moment, learning that the man she loves had betrayed her and helped her rival harm her own people. This cruel truth completely shatters Chu Yueli's defenses, turning her shock into a towering rage, and ultimately awakening her intent to kill. In a forest clearing, the princess in pink is whipping the white-robed woman, Tuoba Feiyuan, out of an old grudge. Meanwhile, the lady in blue, Lu Fengjin, watches, her heart filled with a mix of emotions. She regrets her years of misplaced devotion, which not only harmed her brother, but also let her enemies go free. A desire for revenge against both Tuoba Feiyuan and herself ignites within her. The armored Prince Jing arrives, desperate to save Tuoba Feiyuan, but he is stopped by the mysterious masked man known as the fourth brother, who blocks his path with an unseen force. Prince Jing pleads with the fourth brother to let him pass, but the masked man dismissively calls the violent whipping a mere sparring session, clearly siding with the princess. On the ground, Tuoba Feiyuan cries out to Prince Jing for help. Seeing his beloved being tormented and unable to do anything, Prince Jing is enraged, creating a tense standoff with the formidable fourth brother. In the royal hunting grounds, Princess Tuoba lies injured on the ground, crying to her beloved, the fifth prince Lu Fengjin, and accusing Chu Yueli and her companions of attacking her. Lu Fengjin, believing her story, is furious, and is about to confront them. However, Chu Yueli's brother, General Chu, and the masked fourth prince step forward to defend her, just as the situation reaches a stalemate. With both sides refusing to back down, a guard steps forward as a witness, and reveals the truth. It was Princess Tuoba, who, out of jealousy, tried to slash Chu Yueli's face with a dagger. After her attack was blocked, she resorted to injuring her own neck to frame Chu Yueli, with her lie exposed in front of everyone. The enraged Princess Tuoba continues to argue, claiming that Chu Yueli had deliberately followed them there to seduce Lu Fengjin. Having been played for a fool, Lu Fengjin turns to Chu Yueli with a complicated expression and asks if she really came just for him, turning the end of a dramatic scene into an awkward emotional confrontation. Prince Jin, Lu Feng'an, had eagerly assumed that Yueli came for him, only to be publicly mocked by the princess in pink for being so full of himself. His fifth brother further twists the knife by bluntly stating that Yueli has no feelings for him. This series of blows leaves Lu Feng'an utterly defeated. At the same time, his true love, the injured Tuoba Fei Yuan, feels her heart break as she watches him pay attention only to Yueli. She confronts him, demanding to know why he failed to keep his promise to protect her, feeling completely let down. Seeing this, Yueli calmly steps forward and sharply rebukes Tuoba Fei Yuan, pointing out that she was the one who started the fight despite being less skilled. She then exposes her hypocrisy, mocking her for, on one hand, looking down on women who rely on men, and on the other, demanding that Prince Jin avenge her. These words leave Tuoba Fei Yuan utterly humiliated in front of everyone. In a fit of extreme shame and anger, she furiously declares that she has never relied on men and will seek her own revenge. Then storms off, breaking things off with Lu Feng'an for good. In the corridor of the Yue Pavilion, Tuoba Fei Yuan and Lu Fengjin have a fierce argument. She feels wronged by her humiliation, and even more heartbroken and angry that Lu Fengjin sided with her rival, Chu Yueli. In a fit of rage, she breaks up with him, declaring she doesn't need him. Enraged, Lu Fengjin impulsively agrees to end their relationship. Furious, Tuoba Fei Yuan storms out of the pavilion, draws a guard sword, and, with one strike, splits the Yue Pavilion plaque in two, completely severing their connection. Meanwhile, the other protagonist of this drama, Chu Yueli, learns of the incident. Though she appears gentle on the surface, her eyes reveal an unexpected coldness and determination. She tells her confidant that, even if Lu Fengjin didn't intentionally cause harm, he was still an accomplice. She is resolved to make those who have wronged her pay the price. A quest for revenge, sparked by a love triangle, is about to begin in the shadows. In the courtyard of the prince's mansion, Prince Jin practices his archery, hitting the bullseye every time in preparation for the upcoming autumn hunt. His subordinate suggests that if they could recruit the highly skilled General Chu, they would surely win the top prize. Before he can finish, Princess Tuoba Fei Yuan from the desert appears. She apologizes for their previous argument, and, to prove her own worth, performs a stunning feat of archery on the spot. She shoots an arrow that splits the one Prince Jin had just lodged in the bullseye, earning his admiration. Just then, an imperial edict arrives, ordering Prince Jin to immediately lead troops to Hong County to suppress a rebellion. Tuoba Fei Yuan sees this as her chance to make a name for herself, and volunteers to go with the army. Prince Jin readily agrees. Elsewhere, Prince Jin's true strategist, Chu Yueli, hears the news, a look of gravity crossing her face. She knows that this proud and skilled desert flower is no simple character, and her presence is bound to bring great turmoil to this campaign. Prince Lu Fengjin leads his army deep into a forest, faced with an unknown enemy situation. His subordinates advise a cautious retreat. However, Princess Tuoba, who is traveling with them, is vehemently against retreating, fearing it would be a loss of face for her. When a subordinate mentions that the wise Lady Li would never let them take such a risk, the remark ignites Tuoba's jealousy. She begins to mock Lu Fengjin, insinuating that all his military achievements were thanks to Chu Yueli. At first, Lu Fengjin maintains his composure and orders a retreat, but Tuoba continues to provoke him with taunts like, "Do you want to live under Chu Yueli's shadow forever? You are the invincible god of war." Ultimately, he is successfully goaded into abandoning his rational judgment, and orders the entire army to advance recklessly. Meanwhile, the true strategist, Chu Yueli, deduces from battle reports alone that this is a trap to lure them in. Just as she reaches this conclusion, a messenger arrives with urgent news. Prince Jin's army has been ambushed and is trapped in the mountains. A disaster, sparked by impulsiveness and jealousy, has now unfolded. After a devastating battle, the gravely wounded Ajin leads his remaining troops to hide in a forest, consumed with guilt for the loss of 30,000 soldiers. Meanwhile, Yuaner, the woman traveling with him, is in hysterics, not over the loss of life, but because of a small scratch on her face. At that moment, the surviving soldiers arrive, blaming Yuana entirely for their defeat. They are filled with rage and swear to kill her for revenge. At this critical moment, Ajin stands up and takes all the responsibility upon himself. But the soldiers have lost all faith in him. Instead, they speak of the brilliant strategist, Lady Li, believing only she can save them. Hearing this, Yuaner's jealousy flares. and she begins to slander Lady Li, completely enraging everyone. Just as the internal conflict is about to explode, with the soldiers demanding Yuan be sent to the front lines, an army suddenly appears in the distance. It is Lady Li, who has arrived with reinforcements at their most desperate hour. Seeing Chu Yueli, who has come to rescue him at this life-or-death moment, Jin is stunned. He finally realizes how deeply he had misunderstood her. Prince Jin, Lu Fenglian, awakens from his injuries on his sickbed. He learns from his attendant that it was Ollie who, risking her own life, led the Chu family army to save him from being surrounded. He is deeply moved by this profound love, mistakenly believing that Ali's feelings for him have never changed. He immediately decides that after the autumn hunt, he will grandly marry Ollie as his official princess consort. However, in another part of the Gong mansion, a different truth is revealed. Ollie confesses to her brother that she saved Prince Jin not out of love, but to use the opportunity to show the world the incompetence of the god of war of Dongling, thereby destroying his reputation. She has long since moved on from her past feelings for him, and has already requested permission from the emperor to become a female general. Faced with her brother's concern that no good family would want to marry a female general, Ali's eyes are firm. She tells him she no longer wants to be trapped in matters of love, and wishes to build her own legacy, and protect her family and the Gong mansion with her own strength. A deep misunderstanding and a clear-eyed decision stand in stark contrast. The villainous Prince Tuoba Shuang conspires with his subordinate to spread a rumor that Chu Yueli was gravely injured while saving Liu Beima, intending to test and strike at his friend, Liu Beima. Meanwhile, in her own chambers, Chu Yueli is stopped by the masked Liu Beima. He uses the rumor to playfully probe her true feelings. Chu Yueli, however, calmly confesses that her journey was not to save him, but to defeat him in the autumn hunt, completely destroying his reputation as the god of war, and thereby severing all ties with the Jing princely mansion. Faced with Chu Yueli's resolute stance, Liu Beima, far from being angry, affectionately proposes to her. He explains that he has been waiting for her to willingly agree, rather than being forced by an imperial edict. He even mentions their childhood promise, and vows that if she just gives him the word, he will set everything aside and be at her command, to help her achieve all her plans. A test that began with a conspiracy has ultimately turned into an unexpected declaration of true love. A prince attempts to reconcile with Ollie, a woman who once adored him. He humbles himself, apologizes, and invites her to join his team for the autumn hunt, as they always used to. However, Ali's attitude is now cold and resolute. She not only rejects him outright, but also cruelly shatters all his fantasies. She clarifies that her past rescue of him in Hung County was not a 1,000-mile journey to save her husband, but merely a calculated move to prove her own abilities. And she advises him to stop being so full of himself. Amidst the prince's shock and pleading, Ollie further declares that her heart no longer has a place for him, and admits she has fallen for the more capable Prince Mo. This revelation completely breaks the prince's psychological defenses. Under Ali's barrage of sharp retorts and sarcasm, he flies into a rage, calls her vicious and shameless, and storms off. An attempt at reconciliation has ended in a final, complete rupture. The foreign princess, Tuoba Fei Yuan, unable to see her beloved, the regent Prince Lu Fenglian, confronts him directly. In his study, the two have a fierce argument. Fei Yuan questions his coldness and threatens to end their relationship. Lu Fenglian retorts that he was gravely injured saving her, yet she never once came to visit. Fei Yuan explains tearfully that she tried, but was blocked by the royal consort Rui. In a fit of anger, she reveals what she believes to be the truth, that the other woman, Chu Yueli, rescued him not for his sake, but to prove that she was stronger than him. This accusation strikes a deep blow to Lu Fenglian's pride. Enraged, he orders his guards to lock Tuoba Fei Yuan in the woodshed. As she is being dragged away, she continues to cry out, trying to make him see that he is being used. Lu Fenglian is left alone, his face a mask of fury and complex emotions. After making a mistake, Tuoba Ziyue apologizes to Prince Jin. To make amends, she offers to introduce him to a highly skilled desert flower to help him win the autumn hunt. This princess in red, upon her arrival, indeed impresses the prince with her superb equestrian and archery skills. However, later in the tea room, this desert flower reveals her ruthless nature. Merely because a handmaiden failed to kneel in time, she strikes her down with a single palm, gravely injuring her. She then confronts Tuoba Ziyue, revealing a shocking secret. Not only is she Ziyue's master, but all the unique behaviors that had attracted Prince Jin were taught by her. With her superior skill and cunning, she completely dominates Ziyue, and warns her not to even think about competing with her. What seemed like an introduction of a capable ally was, in fact, a cruel warning that the student could never surpass the master. At the autumn hunt, Ollie and her companions are in the forest when they are confronted by the provocative Prince Jean and his entourage. Citing the decline of Ollie's family and the fact that her brother is now crippled, the prince tries to force her into submission, graciously offering to forgive and forget her past transgressions. Ollie, composed and calm, flatly refuses, stating that their paths are different and they cannot conspire together. The Tuoba lady with Prince Jean speaks up condescendingly, mocking all women for wanting to show off in front of men, calling them clowns seeking attention. Ollie seizes on the flaw in her argument and sharply retorts, asking if she herself is not a woman. When the Tuoba lady declares, "I have never seen myself as a woman," Ollie pinpoints the core of her flawed thinking, the deep-seated belief that women are inferior. The Tuoba lady is left speechless. After this verbal joust, Ollie ceases to engage with them and leaves with her companions, leaving the Tuoba lady with a dark expression, her pride clearly wounded. At the royal hunting grounds, the mysterious masked Prince Emo arrives. He ignores the crowd and immediately provokes Ollie with his words, even brazenly proposing to her in public, and subtly mocking her god of war brother's incompetence. Just as the confrontation is about to escalate, the Emperor and Empress arrive, and the competition begins. To liven things up, Prince Emo volunteers to demonstrate his archery skills. He gallops on his horse and from the most difficult angle, releases an arrow that hits the bullseye, earning thunderous applause. Immediately after, Ollie's brother, the renowned god of war, also takes the field. However, before the watchful eyes of the entire court, his arrow misses the target completely. This huge mistake sparks whispers among the ministers, who reveal the god of war's shameful past. He once led an army of 30,000 against a few thousand rebels, and was defeated, only surviving because Ollie saved him. The god of war's failure, the emperor's displeasure, and Prince Mo's success create a scene filled with irony and impending crisis. At the Royal Martial Arts competition, a noble lady first wins acclaim with her superb archery. Later, in the spectators' gallery, the male lead and the female supporting character are in conversation, their words dismissive of another woman, Ollie, whom they consider too delicate and not the kind of strong partner he admires. However, when the heroine Ollie makes her entrance, the scene shifts dramatically. At first, she clumsily fumbles with her bow, seemingly unable to even draw it, which draws ridicule from the officials. Just when everyone expects her to make a fool of herself, she performs a stunning, high-difficulty move. As her horse rears up, she stands on its back and fires 3 arrows at once, all of which hit the bullseye. This incredible reversal leaves all her mockers speechless. The male lead, who had previously looked down on her, is deeply shaken. He removes his mask, his eyes filled with a new curiosity and a desire to conquer, and murmurs to himself, "Ollie, just how many more secrets are you hiding from me?" A tense confrontation unfolds in the forest. The female general, Chuyueli, sits atop her horse, looking down coldly at her husband, Prince Emo. She finally reveals the truth she has suppressed for years. She was once a highly skilled martial artist from a family of generals, but because of his dismissive comment that it was improper for a young lady, she was forced to hide her talents, smooth her sharp edges, and willingly become an ordinary woman of the inner chambers. She bitterly declares, "I was born a mountain, but for you, I was willing to become a gentle stream," exposing his selfishness and the harm he had caused her. Deeply shaken by these words, Prince Emo witnesses an even more jealousy-inducing scene that night. He secretly observes Chuyueli alone in a tent with his brother, Prince Jing. At that moment, Chuyueli's older brother also arrives to see her, stumbling upon the delicate situation. Outside the tent, Prince Emo, hearing the conversation among the three, believes his wife has betrayed him. Jealousy and regret surge through him. He clenches his fists so tightly that his veins bulge. A much larger emotional storm is about to break. In the dead of night, the 5th prince confronts his masked 4th brother, demanding to know if he has been with Ollie. The 4th brother, far from denying it, openly admits it and deliberately provokes him. General Chu, who is nearby, tries to cover for Ollie by claiming she is changing her clothes, but the 4th brother immediately pulls back the tent flap to reveal Ollie inside, instantly exposing the lie. Enraged, the 5th prince tries to use his royal status and court rules to pressure him, but the 4th brother is unfazed. Instead, he drops a bombshell. He is going to marry Ollie. This news shocks everyone present. Then, acting as the master of the Gong mansion, he dismissively tells General Chu to entertain the 5th prince, this outsider, before pulling Ollie into the tent and leaving him standing there, utterly humiliated. The fifth prince ends this failed confrontation in a fit of rage and confusion.